my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white, yeah, it's black and white, we're just black and white, it's my black and white, it's my black and white scarf.
Hello, you're very welcome to the Town End podcast. It's season 5, episode 15. Queenstown is dead. Long live King Arubi. As Remy Arubi pops up once again to save the blushes of Dundalk and this time steal all 3 points. To go through this game with us, we're joined by Gally.
That's up there with any intro I throw together at the last minute. That you've absolutely nailed that.
I jotted that down very quickly. Welcome to you.
Pretty much like all of our podcasts, Chris. We did
like everything. There's never anything on this piece of paper as we start. Gally, like we sat here last week kind of thinking, maybe a draw is not the worst thing. We're still undefeated. To go down to Cobh and beating the team who was second before going into this match, that's a real statement victory. Yeah,
and I tell you, we were being a wee bit pessimistic last week. I mean, I think we definitely would have, most of Dundalk fans, even the ones who travelled down tonight, probably would have taken the draw, maybe a score draw for a bit of excitement. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the fact that we've gone down and won, and in many ways, it's probably one of our best, if not our best performance overall this season. You could argue maybe one or two more, but I definitely think overall, for the game that it is, we kind of earmarked this game, not even the one at Oriel, this game in particular, going down there on the Astro. Yeah. The travel down, the expectation that Cobh would have bringing Dundalk down as well, because we've mentioned that these are in it for they're in it to win it as such. So they've spent a bit of money. They've got, as you mentioned last week, their new owners and things. So they would have absolutely been chomping at the bit to get Dundalk down there, because we are the team to beat. But I thought we were. Look, we can talk in parts of missed chance and things, but I thought overall we were excellent. Look, we pick out players later on, one or two turn back the clock as well. I thought overall, it's right up there with anything we produced this year, especially going forward. I mean, look, you've always give up chances in the game somewhere. But going forward, I thought we were excellent. That extra wee bit in the final third, cutting through. I thought we were really sharp tonight, and there was a real hunger. You seen Abe Dervin at the end as well. I mean, he's always an excited player when you pick up the points, but he's going straight to the bench. Yeah, almost like it almost felt like there was 3 or 4 games to go and we've taken a 4-point lead. Now, look, at 4 points in the end of the day, it's not a massive amount. I mean, it's not insurmountable any stretch of the imagination. But when 3 of the points has come off the back of a Cobh Ramblers win, it's a massive night from the dog. Yeah, massive.
Last week, post match, Kieran said, he was looking for players to step up and be counted, and he thought that when Arubi come on, he really made a mark in the game and felt that he stood up and was counted. So is that a nod from Kieran then for his start today, I suppose, on the back of that impressive performance last week when he came on to go and get the nod to start?
Yeah, look, we said last week, we had comments come in from left, right and centre that, he probably was merited more of a starting role. I think over the last couple of weeks, we just haven't got it going up front as much as we would have liked. Definitely, look, the players are there, the level of enthusiasm is there. We're just not finding the net maybe on enough occasions that we want. We're kind of slow rolling into these kind of 2-1s, a couple of draws. We're knocking at the door, but we're not hitting the back of the net too often. And yes, look, you're getting points along the way, no doubt about it. But you're always going to come unstuck eventually. And I think the likes of Arubi, something different, something from the start, more minutes for him. And I think he's really done himself no harm now to kind of, get a bit of a run in the team now. Like, when you look at the next fixtures over the next couple of weeks, I don't really see, there's no argument to drop him, I suppose, if that's what we're getting at. I don't really see, I think he's done himself no harm tonight. I thought he's been excellent. He's good in the air, he's pacey, he's strong. He's up for a bit of a row, if that makes sense. He's up for a bit of physicality. I thought he was excellent. We were almost worried that we talked about that much last week, that maybe we're watching the wrong game. But I just thought he was excellent. Last week when he come on, he shows what he was signed for. And tonight, it's been the correct call. I mean, could we have scored more? Yes. Could he have scored another one? Yes. But I mean, he's done himself absolutely no harm whatsoever. And I think, the lads have made a big call. I mean, it is a big call, to bring him in and play him, especially against Cobh down there. on that pitch.
And I think James Rodgers had a stat up. That was his first ever league start, like ever.
Yeah,
because
it's
made
a crazy when you
substitute appearance for Shell's
when you consider how good he is, and it's kind of like a flip. It's a flip side of Dean Nebby. You wonder how Dean never played more Premier Division football, but now even when you look at Ruby, how nobody else in the first division has taken him on. It's a real kind of yin yang situation, but I think we'll get the benefit out of that. Maybe it's a slip from some other clubs that haven't signed him, but I think Ken Kieran have made a big call tonight, and I think it's come up trumps for them absolutely.
I suppose the other thing was Enda Minogue back in goal as well. So you might not have noticed him with the low sun in the first half, but he was there. But once again, it was just one or two of those balls in the first half. It just ended out, collects, nice, calm and collected, and that's the difference. But it was good to see him back in too.
Yeah, and you need that. You want that structure, that spine in your team. Look at Peters come in, probably not expected to maybe play as many games as he has already early in the season, but he is there as backup for a reason. But Enda Minogue obviously is, we earmarked him early in the season that Kieran Clough wanted this player in to be the number one. He's been unlucky with injuries. But I mean, when you get that spine of the team right, it's a massive plus for everybody. And not to say that Peters had a bad couple of weeks. There's been one or two games early on and when he came in, but he's been solid over the last few weeks. But Enda Minogue is your number one, and especially perfect timing for a game like tonight to get him back in. And again, he put on some decent saves, and he's been a strong kind of leader behind the two boys at centre backs.
It could have been a really bright start to this game, and that one person, I suppose, who he's getting a lot of attention of late, Sean Keogh. When the free kick is set up, you're thinking it's all set up for Sean, but then you see kind of Darrell is kind of knocking around. You're like, maybe it's not. Maybe it is going to be just chipped in, and then when he hits it, it's like it's so close to even pinging off the post and going in. Like it just started bending back just at the very end and goes right off the near post. He was so unlucky. Yeah,
it's like we always say about left footers, it's a hell of a strike. We've got the perfect angle for it as well. I know a lot of people complain about the camera angle tonight, but for that free kick alone, that's the perfect angle for that camera to be at. The strike itself is like, they get the whip on the ball. It's not like he's 30 yards at either. I mean, he's in or in the box. It's at an angle. He's left the keeper stranded. The keeper's not getting to it. If it's in, if it's going towards goal, the keeper's he's not getting anywhere near it. He's been caught flat-footed with it, but it's an excellent strike, and it's such a pity, especially early on in the game. You're not even warmed up. I mean, you're not even getting ready. He's absolutely pinged it in after 3 or 4 minutes. But an excellent strike, and unfortunately for Sean, this is what's going to be expected of him every time he steps up around the box. Anytime he gets in around the box, this is what we're going to expect of him. And look, and rightly so, he's been excellent with him so far. And he has that in his locker, that little, long range. I wouldn't say he's a long range striker, but anything in around the box, 20, 25 yards, even in play, he has that in his locker. And it's almost, you compare him, look, you're obviously going to compare him to the likes of a Dane Massey gone by taking free kicks and things like that. Overlap, and we've seen it later on with Darren's goal as well and Ruby's goal. But he's an excellent player, and that just to have the extra free kick, that little extra bit of star power in his locker is fantastic for Dundalk, for fans. It's great to have someone, especially on the left side of it, that can absolutely leather a ball like that. And he's probably 3 or 4 inches back further with the ball. It's probably in the back of the net. It
probably was,
yeah. It's an excellent strike.
100%. Someone who definitely seemed up for this game and I was enjoying his time back down in Cork again was Darrell Horgan. He seemed to roll back the years. I thought he had an impressive enough game last week in Oriel, but he seemed to carry on that. Like a couple of early ones, he's kind of testing the keeper, but you can see he's up for it. He's taking the players on. There's like they're ganging up on him, trying to protect. I would say their defender Hakkinen is going to have nightmares about him, because it just seemed like no matter where he went, Darrell was in his shadow somewhere or looming large, pulling down on him all the time. It's not surprising that Darrell did get the opening goal, but he had a couple of testers before that as well.
Yeah, and like even early on, I think maybe 10, 11 minutes in, he's had a chance, but it's not even the chance on goal. It was his play in general. To me, look, again, I talk about the camera. He looked as fast tonight as he's ever been. I don't know if it's just a pitch. We know we've seen him. He's not the Darrell of old, I suppose, but he was lightning across the ground tonight. I mean, it just suited him. They kind of hacking him will definitely be dizzy going home tonight. But he was sensational. Like you said, turn back the clock, easily his best performance of the season.
Definitely.
It was absolutely sensational. Like it was like we were watching Darrell Hogan, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. It's not like he's an old man, but it's like we were watching Darrell Hogan of a decade ago. He was absolutely like everything worked from every pass. Look, yes, you're caught short once or twice, but everybody is in the game of football. But he's more than made up for it. He was absolutely sensational. He ran the game. We've had players come on and off the field later on in the game as well to influence, but. I mean, for me, Hogan tonight, look, we'll probably get comments in for pizzas later on, but I can get mine in very early. I mean, I thought he was absolutely sensational. Easily his best performance of the season. And he has been very good in games, actually, the last couple of weeks as well. But tonight, when you needed him, games like that in Cobh, that this is the team that's probably going to run you closer. Whoever finishes above the other will probably win the league if we're looking at it really, truly. And yeah, I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
It was the occupying defenders and everything else, I think, was the real bright spark of it all. But to give Ruby his credit, like when he picks up that ball, his first thought is to start driving towards goal, and that opens up the pitch then for Darrell and that to kind of go into the space where he receives it. He kind of dinks on one side, like you say, it's Darrell of old, dinks one shoulder, cuts back into the others, and just when the defenders think, right, he's going to bend this out and wide, he cuts in on the other foot and then bends it in on towards the near post. It's a really, really good finish. And like I say, it's one that we'd love to see more of Darrell. Yeah. I think that's kind of what you're thinking. It's not Darrell of old that he's old now, but they were his bread and butter, we remember, in the Dundalk shirt for too long.
Yeah, and you could argue defender nearly always pretty much gives him almost too much respect. But he was just in that kind of form tonight. We probably haven't seen it enough. Like, he's literally twisted him inside. He's turned him twice, and he showed him the dummy twice, and it's an absolutely sensational strike. Like, to go across the box, he's obviously beat the defender with the pass. He's gone through another two as well, and the goalkeeper on his far side. And it is really Darrell Hogan of old. I mean, even if he doesn't score that goal, his build-up play, his aggression, his knock for a pass. I just thought himself and Kyo out wide at times were just unplayable. And it's come at the right time. Now, look, it's not that he's been poor all season. He has been excellent, but it's just come that everyone's just come together with a Ruby feeding off him as well. And we talk about a Ruby's goal as well, because it's across from Hogan again. He was the link for everything tonight. And that's probably been missing to be an overall the number one player in the match. It's probably been missing from Darrell this season. It's probably not happening enough for him. But I definitely think he's kick-started now, and that's hopefully there's no looking back over the next couple of games.
He said, it was a goal at the right time. Like, one, scoring goals in the first half has been a problem for Dundalk, but to get two and get a second goal just before the break into like that really knocks the stuff in, I thought, out of Cobh. Even though I don't think they created much in that first half, but like just the dying embers of that first half. Credit where credit's due. Hell of a pass from Air Dervin. He intercepts that ball. It spins up in the air, and a half volley on the spin into the pad of Darrell Hogan running forward. Like, it's a peach of a pass.
Yeah, it's probably Dervin. Knowing we've interviewed him and knowing the way he is, he's probably live off that now for a long time. Oh, yeah. That's an exquisite pass. I mean, like, there's he probably could have played a little bit further on, really, but I mean, like, it's an absolute to get it on the side half volley, to drill it across the ground into Darrell Hogan's pad. And again, Hogan's just taking it on, Kyo's on the overlap as well. But the thing about that build-up was there was no waiting. That ball came from one end of the field, one side of the field to the other, and everybody was on it, straight on it. Ruby's actually out of shot completely until the ball actually leaves Darrell Hogan's foot. And he's just found himself in space between the left centre-back and the left-back. They're definitely not picking him up. They've obviously gone ball watching. They know they're expecting a shot from Darrell or an overlap from Sean Kyo. The keeper's been called with flat-footed as well, so he's gone up.
It's a hell of a leap, though.
Oh, it's a massive. Like,
he gets good half-time in it.
Yeah, and the question is whether, whether a Dean Ebby gets up for that or an Owen Kenny. But I think it was just made for a night like a Ruby to do that, because he'd had a good build-up up until then, so the momentum was probably with him and probably itching for a goal as quick as he could. But like you said, nice to get 2 goals in the first half. Right on the stroke of half-time now. We've gone in at half-time and probably we've got a different team again. But, to get 2 goals in the first half, especially when we've waxed lyrical about a Ruby last week, and we look like we know what we're talking about. So, every cloud.
Yeah, two chances of that. The thing I liked about this one in particular is, we talked about that position that Darrell was in for his opening goal, and you could see the defenders are they're trying to mark off the goal, and Darrell says, well, if I don't get a shot, then I'll just ping in across. And I think, like you just said before, because Sean Keogh kind of makes a run outside him, one of the defenders, no one can dive in on Darrell because they're thinking he's going to just slide this ball to Sean Keogh and he's going to have a better angle to cross it. So Darrell uses the space incredibly well.
They haven't gone with the run of Keogh, but you can tell by looking at them, they're ready for the run. They're
occupied by him, though, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And that's the beauty of having a player like that, and that link, the experience of Hogg, and just the enthusiasm of Keogh to get down the wing, because that's what he wants. He wants to get in there, crossing them balls in. And then they've just been caught on the hop with an absolute cracking ball. I mean, we can talk about the header, but the ball itself, he couldn't have put it any better for him. I mean, it's a hell of it's almost over the top. It's that high. It's almost gone at a shot in the camera, but it's come down absolutely perfect for Ruby, and he's caught it absolutely full. It's a fantastic build-up play and a goal.
I think from a Cobh perspective, you'd be a little bit disappointed with the keeper. The ball's in the middle of the goal. He just completely misjudged the flight of it. But like
he's come really far for it as well. I know it's inside, but he's come far. He kind of stands a little bit.
He gets caught. He kind of goes, "Do I come for this?" And then he sees the centre half jumping, and then he tries to get back on the line, and he's neither on the line or come out to collect the cross, and he's in no man's land, and it just kind of loops up and over. But like I say, you take your chances and it pays off, and fair play to a Ruby for it. And second half, I suppose not a whole lot happens, but it the free kick from Griffin is spectacular. If you're going to beat Enda Minogue, it probably took something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Enda Minogue and Peter Cherry in the nets, and I probably don't say that. And we were talking about Keogh's free kick. This is, obviously the other side of the box has got across the keeper, and it's gone in, and it's an absolute, it's a sensational strike. We can talk about it being first division. We can talk, but it's an absolute, if we're watching the Premier League or watching even the Premier Division here, it's all over YouTube tonight. It should be. It's an absolute fantastic strike, and he was influential. He was probably going forward anyway. He was probably the biggest threat they had all night. So to give him a dead ball, I know he'd scored one earlier in the season. I think the commentator said maybe Longford. I hadn't seen it.
He did.
I looked it up tonight, and that's another cracker. But yeah, I mean, it's something that other teams are probably looking out for now between Keogh and himself. But it's an absolute fantastic strike. I actually missed the build up to the free kick itself, but so I'll just pretend that I saw it and say it was never a free kick.
Worley gave it away and picked up a yellow for it then as well. Just kind of got outsmarted for it, But an
absolutely sensational strike. And that I suppose that should have really geared Cobh up for the game, and not that they weren't. But even at that,
I felt it was just a lot of huffing and puffing after. That's what I was just going to say to you.
There was never really that factor of, all right, we're here we go again. I didn't get that tonight,
No. They were trying to peg in a couple of crosses and stuff like that. Some of them's kind of just going out up and over. I thought tonight the substitutes were probably at the right time. We see Tracy's literally only on the pitch, and he gets that big chance with the one-on-one with the keeper. Probably unlucky with it. I'm not too sure if it's the pitch or it's a poor first touch from Shane Tracy, but the ball just doesn't come out from his feet. By the time he digs it out, the angle's all wrong, and it probably favours the keeper coming out fast on him like that. But good to see substitutes coming on and making an impact like that, I suppose. Yeah,
that's been probably one of our biggest assets all season. We can bring people off the bench that don't really, I suppose diminish is a harsh word, but they don't make the team any less. I mean, even though they're young, they're enthusiastic. Like you've seen Shane Tracy, that's not the first time we've seen him all season as well. He's been excellent when he's played. He's got an eye for a pass, and he can move. Like you've seen tonight, his pace. A little bit more experience, you probably go down. Look, hindsight's great. You're watching the camera angle, but he probably goes down to the keeper's right. But I mean, he's just hit it. He had the keeper's come out really, smothered it well. He's hit it straight at him, but I mean, the keeper still has to be there in the right spot. But you'll be able to delight to see him get a goal, especially after a little run. Yeah, it's kind of bobbled. I don't know if it's his boot that's gotten kind of caught, or the ball just needs to take a little skip, and it just kind of gets away from him. So he's not on the stretch, but he's kind of, it's running a wee bit too fast from almost.
Yeah,
but look, it's a
it looks
great
like that
chance.
second touch though. He's trying to just create a bit
Yeah.
more space in front of him. Like I said, I wonder did the pitch hold it up and bring it too close to his
possibly,
body,
yeah.
or did that pass make it run on? And then Owen Kenny with another chance later on, pulling another save from the keeper. I think that's probably what Kieran and Ken will probably look back on it and saying, even though we were 2-1 up, we probably had the better chances at the end of the match too. And like I said, there was a lot of long lofted balls up over crossbars, and a good bit of a fracas on the sideline at the end as well. A schmozzle, indeed. Like you'll take all of that because like that's what it takes, though. You can't have easy balls coming into the box. You want people harassing other players in the box and stuff like that. And if that's a bit of handbags at the end of it, look, I'm fine with that as well. Like it's all about it.
It shows there's a bit of bite in it. It shows there's a bit of bite in it because the Dundalk are going to be, from the looks of what we've seen this season, we're not going to hammer too many teams by the looks of it. We'll give someone an absolute pace in one night, and you can see it, you can feel it in the air. But we seem to be these maybe 2-1s, 3-1s, 3-2s. That seems to be going to be the course of the season. But you want that wee bit of bite in the end, especially from the opposition as well, because they know that, by them losing tonight, yes, the gap's only 4, but psychologically now that's a big. They will now have to come to Oriel and beat us. That kind of anger, you want that in a game. You want that in a bit of a bite at the end. And look, if I don't think there's anything major in at the end, towards the end of it, but you want that wee bit of fight. You want to be disappointed. Cobh will probably be frustrated that they didn't get more out of it and didn't probably play a little bit better because, like I say, even when they scored the free kick, it's probably the first night that Dundalk have given up. They've probably given up a couple of chances and they've allowed the team to get back in. But I didn't really fear that, they were going to get another one, if that makes sense. The only thing that were going to probably score after that was us. We've had some half chances. Griffin's had half chances early on as well. But, overall, it's probably the ideal performance. Yes, you'd like another goal, but I think overall we've definitely been the better team and probably played the best. Definitely, it's right up there with some of the best we played all season.
Definitely, that first half I think was one of the best halves that we played. Yeah, and first halves have been a major issue for us. Just looking around the division as well. Bray's 3-1 victory at Athlone. They seem to be lasting the pace on this. I still think there's a considerable gap from Cobh, Bray, and ourselves down to like where Treaty and Wexford come in. There's just a lack of inconsistency, I would say, amongst a lot of the teams behind us. But once again, Bray are proven. Is it the fact that Bray have literally only drawn one match so far this season out of 15? They just win or lose, and out of late, it's a lot of wins as well. But like we proved that Athlone were quite tough to break down, and we couldn't really do anything with it. Ended up drawing the match, but Bray are finding ways to win every week.
They're going to be the old Bray. They're going to be that little grain of sand that gets between your toes and just annoys you from 6 or 7 months. Yeah, from 6 or 7 months time away. Like I wrote them off at the start. I like the night we played them. I'll never forget the podcast. I thought they were the worst team I'd seen. And we've played some shockers. They were like a Leinster League team the night we played them, and they've just gone on this run. I don't know what it is, probably 7 or 8 games now, and they've been sensational. Look, there's some.
Well, I think that home, the fact they got so many home games to play in a row has definitely benefited them. Obviously, they lost down in Cobh with the last kick of the ball, and then come up and only got a draw against us. So you were wondering, was that like a little blip? But to come back and get a win tonight, they'll be buzzing to be back on that and back into second in the division again. I suppose the only thing I would look at it and saying, they've scored 25 goals so far this year in the 15 games that's been played. We scored 24, Cobh Ramblers 26, 3D 24. Like there's not a whole lot. Like there's not a team putting everyone to bed. So there's not. I think maybe on the other side of that, we've only conceded 9, best defense in the league, and after that you're down to Cobh on 14, Bray conceded 19. So the other teams do concede. We probably just don't.
And we're probably guilty of. Again, even tonight, you could probably force a non-positive kind of pessimistic view that we've missed chances again. But that seems to be our thing. We seem to miss a lot of chances, but we get enough to get it over the line. And as frustrating as that is, results will always count at the end of the season. We'll forget them if the results are still there at the end of the season. Darren Mina, but we haven't even mentioned Gaxa. Gaxa's pulled off again, sensational across the ground tonight. 1 or 2 runs tonight. He's been very influential. We probably haven't even mentioned him. But the only worrying thing is that we don't put teams to bed early, late in the season, and then we get caught.
Yeah.
I like that. It's great to see the fact that Bray are in it, because
you need someone to push us.
Yeah, exactly. The boys are going to one player. There's no point in us, and I'm not saying we would, but there's no point in us being 10 points clear come June. It'll be great. But you want that push. You want that mental push to say, right, lads, this isn't going to be home hack. We just haven't dropped down from Premier Division, and we're going to get it.
Do you think that was the difference in the performance tonight? That felt like a do or die moment.
Yeah, I definitely think this game, although it's only the 4-point gap, I definitely think they thought this has to be the one. Your season has to really start tonight. If you get off to a bad start here, you can forget what's gone before. Your season now kicks off. Now you're in the driving seat. Obviously with Bray coming back up, they're going to be just that thorn in your side all season. But for me, the season really starts now. You've gotten over that hurdle of Cobh down there was always, for me at the start of the season, was always going to be the one, because like I said, they are well up for this. They'll be inviting teams to Dundalk onto them, and they'll be willing to take it. I mean, it's only 2-1 at the end of the day, but I feel, again, we're talking about missed chances, and the Dundalk need to put that right. I think something like a Ruby, we mentioned, Leo Gax obviously as well, and Hogan at his best. We're almost unplayable, but but they just have to keep that momentum going now. Because Bray, you look at Bray, Cobh, there's a mad gap there. Even Treaty are still 21, but I mean, that's too much of a gap for me that we would have to drop stupid about the points to even bring them into the equation. But it's a 3-horse race already, and we'll just see how it goes. And it's got to push the lads. The lads are going to need that kind of carrot dangling till the end of the season. But Bray have been just, like I say, I've held my hands up on most. There's very few teams I write off as early in the season, but I wrote them off as soon as we played them, and now they're just on this sensational, this run of. I think we were talking 6. Was it 6 games in the bounce a couple of weeks ago? I haven't kept up.
There were definitely 5 anyway, 5 or 6
even like
games.
You mentioned,
actually, I think there were 7. I think there were 7 games.
You look at the goals conceded as well. I mean, and where they are, so the fight is there in them, and they could end up being they could be the ones that actually chase us down the line if we're going to be in that position. It might even be Cobh. Bray could maybe come to the fore and really put a race on now between kind of June, July until September, October.
Of course, we're at home to Kerry next. To go down there and get the victory before, I think that was important. But now you need to back that up with the home victory as well on that.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't want to be speaking. The only problem, they've got the Colin Healy factor out, because Colin Healy has history at Oriel Park.
And he picked up, was it draw tonight, I think, against Wexford?
Yeah. And I think
that was his first game in charge, won't it?
That's it. Yeah, it'll be the first game, and being obviously former Cork and being involved in those games that
with Dundalk,
the John Caulfield era, he'll be up for this. He'll be looking to go. And look at any job, any job he takes, any job a manager goes into, no matter who the game is, you want it. But I think there'll be an extra bit of bite in it when we have to play when they come up and play Dundalk. But again, you'd like to think at home, although it might be tight, it depends what way they set up, depends what way they play. They've obviously brought Colin in, they wanted to change, they've obviously brought him in for a reason. But I mean, you'd like to think we have it in the locker. When you look at tonight's game, we have it in the locker to go and get 3 points. But I mean, this is the beauty of First Division. The results are never guaranteed, never. And you can't be, we're still only in May. We're only, I think people might have thought we might run away with this. We're quite happy to maybe spend 2 years in the First Division, but we've now got the bit between our teeth, and we have to keep going with it. And it doesn't matter who comes to Oriel Park. We have to go and get out with the mentality that we're going to win the match, and I'm sure that's the way to be set up to do
it. Bray at home to Wexford and Cobh away to Athlone. So it's hard to tell, because I think in any day, any of those teams, Wexford, probably with Aaron Dobbs coming back, we'd think that would strengthen them.
But we expected kind of Athlone to be higher up as well. I know you still got a long way to go, but
I think they need a manager and an owner, maybe.
Yeah, they haven't started at all. So it's just look. I think it's, if you look at the table now, it's 3. I don't see that gap closing. I really don't. Even any kind of run from Wexford 3, I don't see it happening, because we would have to plummet, the 3 teams that are there at the minute. So it is a 3-horse race as now.
I see. It started a few weeks, but actually I think it might have started on the episode where the last episode that James Rogers jumped on, and that was talk about planning if we were to go up. A lot of people, I think, probably took exception to the fact that we're talking about a promotion, one where we're only a handful of games into the season. I can't help but think it's always in the back of my head, though. We do have massive infrastructural works which need to get done. We have a pitch upgrade. We do have a grant which will cover a large portion of that, but obviously you got to pay the money up front yourself and then claim back, and similar with the floodlight situation as well. Is it time now where, like you're talking, it's probably a 3-horse race? I think you could probably, you'd be close to be able to nail your hat so far that you think you could be at least in the playoff situation. Is now the time to start thinking about these things as a club?
Well, they'd have to. I mean, even if we were to go on a bad run and stay in the first division, I'd still be looking to change the pitch. The pitch. Yeah, the pitch is a disgrace. Like, there's no, when you compare it to what you looked at tonight and Bray's pitch, I stood on Coleman's Park.
You played there, haven't you?
Yeah, it's an unbelievable Astro, and I'll mention it until the cows go home. It plays like grass, it's sensational, and ours is miles behind. But it's something. Look, I mean, fans hope they won't get too bogged down with it, but it is there in the background. It has to be the number one priority. Look, the coaches can worry about what's on the field. The club will obviously back them financially if they need to add to it, and some which they may not. Touch wood, barring any injuries. But at the end of the day, the job of the club and the committee and the powers that be are to make sure that it's a sustainable entity and it's ready to go for 2026 in what hopefully will be a Premier Division team.
Would you like them, though, to come out with some sort of solid plans to say either they can afford to fund this, and if they can't, let's look for help from the fans now? Because, as I say, you would love to have an idea and a plan, because I think, from my own point of view, whether there's a promotion or not this year, these things still need to be addressed.
How long are we sitting? You know what I'm sick of? I think I said it before a couple of years ago. You see the same photographs from the 90s and the 80s, and Oriel Park hasn't changed. Now, a lot of League of Ireland haven't changed, but they've all been upgraded in some shape or form. Apart from a lick of paint and the YDC, there's not really. Look, obviously the shed has changed, but it's still the shed. It looked fantastic. It's historic, but I mean, it's. The days of looking for 20,000 seat or 12, 15,000 seaters, they're not, a good 5,000 or 6,000 seater stadium is more than enough. And they just need to get plans in place. The Dog fans are the most patient in the country. They'll wait. It's not like they need it done tomorrow. Stand wise, I'm talking about. The pitch is different. But those type of things need to be kind of said, look, this is the plan, this is what we're doing.
And fair enough, if they're parking everything then till the end of the season, I think that's still fine. But I just think a little update on exactly where we are with everything, because I've no doubt that things are happening in the background, but sometimes I think it's good just to share this is exactly where we are, and we're going to be in a situation to be able to finance that, or we're not going to be able to. So let's talk about that either way. But I think just about now is probably the time for a little update on where we are with that.
And what it does is it drives that enthusiasm, it drives that buzz. You're technically piggybacking off the success of what's happening on the field. Now, I use success very loosely. We're winning first division games, but wins are wins, and you need to use that when you need to use that motivation, that positivity for fans to kind of say, right, well, let's get ready, let's dream and think of getting back there for next year. Because either way, if it's Tiddlywinks that has to be played up there, that pitch has to come up. It's beyond bad. It really is. It's a real shocker. But it's wear and tear, and it's an old pitch. But things like that have to be. I would agree that. You don't have to go hell for leather. You don't have to promise the world. You just keep it basic.
But you're also thinking of licensing point of view and stuff like that as well. That's what I'm thinking is, like, if we know these lights have to be done, if we know the pitch has to be done, like surely now is the time to put these plans in place, because we've seen with Bray, even though you plan, they still missed the start of the season when that pitch went in. And you know, if that pitch had gone in earlier, might it be closer to us? Like, and they were already very close. You know, and you just think the amount of games had to play away from home at the very start. Sorry, I see James Brady commenting in here, and James would normally drop in because how's a Ruby getting on? And he's like, so I'm glad he's popped in for the past few weeks. It's kicked off, and a real solid performance, James, from him again tonight, taking his goals and his chances really well, and I think that's the key thing. And Darren, just you're right. Toilet situation in Oriel, also probably a little update on what's happening with that, because we seem to have lost a few toilets in Oriel Park this year, for one reason or the other. So it'd be good to just a little update on where these things are, and you know, do the supporters, I suppose, need to make contributions. We've gone way off talking about the game, and we never even boxed off man of the match competition. Just when I see comments coming in, people were commenting, I was like, oh my God, we've gone talking about Oriel Park here without even boxing this off. Gally, for yourself, who stood out for you tonight?
I can't see past Darren Hogan. I give a mention to Sean Keogh was excellent. Sean Keogh's excellent every week.
Yeah.
Gax again is electric when he gets going. A Ruby, look, just because we
watched a goal
last week. I mean, he look, assist and a goal. He's been excellent. He's done himself no harm whatsoever to start the game. It'd be interesting to see maybe a physical Colin Healy team. I don't know what comes down, but Darren Hogan all day, every day. You know, because it was more of a buzz just to see him, you know, like see him back. Not that he hasn't been, probably sounding harsh, or make him sound like he hasn't been playing, but, you know, he's easily the most naturally gifted footballer in the first division. Like, there won't be anybody to touch him on his day. But tonight he's shown that he can still mix with it. Like, he was top class. And it's the best I've seen him. It's probably the best I've seen him since he's come back. You know, and I'm trying to think. I was trying to think before we come on. He was excellent one night in Oriel Park. He's excellent most weeks, but the one game in Oriel Park, I can't remember the opposite, he was sensational. But tonight, for me, when you needed it, you know, travelling down there to play the game, you know, top of the table clash, absolutely excellent. I mean, it's
the longer you talk, the more Horgans we're getting in here. Keep going.
Yeah, and probably if Horgan, like, you know, like even Delvin, like I almost overlook Delvin because he's an 8 out of 10 every week. Delvin's a 7 and 8 out of 10 every week. You almost overlook him. You'd love to give it a Ruby, but for me, just the Darren Hogan factor, I thought he was excellent tonight.
Yeah, I think Rory's in there. I think it was the Wexford game.
Yeah, that could have been it. Yeah, it could be right, Rory. Yeah, he was absolutely, like, he was unplayable. But for me tonight, top class.
Similar for myself. I just thought we missed that Darryl. Maybe it's we just don't see it often enough. But when you do see it, you just realize what a class act he is. And there's not probably a whole lot of other players in this division that can do the things that he does as well. I think first in tonight, funny, we were just talking about him there now, was Rory Gilson, who had Darryl in first. Probably loads of other people straight in after that. And I think he probably sums it up right in saying a class act, superb, so direct and powerful with an end product, which is what we've definitely seen tonight from him. Like I said, probably been in those positions, but we haven't seen that end product. So to see it off there tonight. Fair play. And thanks as always to Vinny and the lads in Tony's Pizzeria. So Rory, there is a 15-inch pizza in Tony's Pizzeria on us. For you there, so just give Vinny a shout and I'm sure he'll take care of you on that. I think that's probably about us, Scally. We said we'd jump on here for 20 minutes, 40 minutes later we're still here. We'll probably wrap this up. We will have details very soon to announce for this year's charity shirt from Player Fit. It's a real cracker. It's a first division cracker also. On that as well, but that's as much as we'll leak on that. And thanks so much to Carl and everyone at Player Fit for helping us out with that. So hopefully we'll have details on that very, very shortly. James Wright, I would have forgotten about this.
Yeah,
A
so
massive
right, sorry,
congratulations
Shane,
to the futsal team. A fantastic weekend for Louth last week, and on the same day for the lads to wrap up victory as well on that. A massive achievement, and well done to Luke and everyone there on the futsal team. Brilliant to see. And the only thing I can't wait, because I remember last year the lads got a massive standing ovation, and they've done a lap of honour around the pitch. Man, if they do that again next Friday, they're going to take out, because I just like the energy and everything from them was amazing. And the crowd gave it back to them. They were like going around celebrating goal like every single time. It was unbelievable. It was so infectious. Absolutely loved it. So massive congratulations to them, and it's brilliant for anyone to bring any success back to Dundalk Football Club. Is always good to see. Gally, I think that's about us. Finally, just to say thanks as always to Donald Green and Dundalk Village as well, just for the overall sponsorship of the podcast, and of course to Mark Carlin, also in Black Mountain Studios. That is us, Gally. We'll be back next week again, as per usual. And until then, come on to town.
My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white, yeah, it's black and white, we're just black and white, it's my black and white, it's my black and